What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 31 of the Steam Deck podcast, Slipscreen Games' weekly podcast, all about Valve's hot new handheld, the Steam Deck. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined, as always, by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Max Wright.
Hello, ahoy, ahoy, damn it.
Damn, so close, so close.
Damn it. Ahoy, ahoy. There we go. Let's pretend I did
Hello, ahoy.
Hello, ahoy.
Maybe, a little bit, who knows? Steve's not here, that's the bit.
Steve's not here, I was channeling Steve.
Yeah, Steve's got a week off, but of course, we don't get a week off here on the Steam Deck podcast because there's always Steam Deck news to talk about. On this week's show, we're going to talk about how the OLED Steam Deck isn't as easy as it sounds, according to one of the architects of the Steam Deck. Valve is celebrating Steam Deck's belated birthday with its first ever discount, and then, of course, Steam Deck is coming to stores later this year, but not in the West. We're going to talk about that and more on this week's episode of the Steam Deck podcast. Let's jump into the OLED news. So, Plagman, right? One of the two, and it's Yang and Plagman, right? Are like the two architects of the Steam Deck. They are sources we cite very often on this show, not only because they're obviously so instrumental, but because they talk about it a lot. They're very forthcoming, whether it's over on Twitter, whether it's via interviews. They talk a lot about the hardware, and they're often very transparent about the process that they go through to, work on the Steam Deck, which we appreciate over here because it gives us stuff to talk about every week.
They probably talk about it as much as we do, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, and my goal, one day we'll get them on the show, and then we can really bring it all full circle. That'll be the day.
We are the Steam Deck podcast, so, why wouldn't they?
How could they ignore it, right? But Plagman had another interview this week over at PC Gamer where he talked a little bit about why the OLED Steam Deck is not, maybe not as imminent as we think, right? Something we've talked about a lot on this show is, what will a successor to the Steam Deck look like? Will we have kind of, smaller iterations where there are upgrades, but, not enough to represent kind of like a proper next-gen update like we talked about like last week, I think it was anyway. Or potentially the ability for them to, like, through their partnership with, and what's the name of the website? I can't think of it. iFixit, right, where they could maybe add, like, an OLED replacement that you could buy and then, install yourself, something like that. But according to Plagman, it's not that simple for a couple reasons. So this is what he had to say on it. The long answer is that there's a lot more to swapping out a screen than just swapping out a screen. I think people are looking at things like an incremental version and assume that it's an easy drop-in. But in reality, the screen's at the core of the device. Everything is anchored to it. Basically, everything is architected around everything when you're talking about a device that small. I think it would be a bigger amount of work than people are assuming it would be. I don't think we're discussing anything, I don't think we're discounting anything. But the idea that you could just swap in a new screen and be done, it would need to be more than that to be doable. So it's so funny. There's a little bit more here that we'll read in a second, but when I was reading through this earlier today, I was like, does he listen to the show? Because this feels like everything we've said. I'm like, oh yeah, why couldn't you just do that? And it's
yeah. Which for me, I've also always assumed that's the case because you can buy replacement screens. Granted, they are the screen that like they say the device is built around. But I assumed it was just like popping a new TV on a wall and plugging which is obviously silly, but it's a very simplified version of it. But
yeah, but you're like, why wouldn't it be the same shape, right? Yeah, like it seems like a foregone conclusion.
Yes, yeah, that you could get an OLED panel will be the exact same size. I mean, look at the Switch, for example. Without the bezels, let's say, but the actual body of the Switch is the same size to have that screen in. We don't know what else has changed internally, but to me, it seems almost like, let me just grab it here. To me, it just seems like that is a new screen that they've just slapped into the same device. So why wouldn't they?
Yeah, and just changed like the chassis on the front, right? Like with
yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes me wonder if it is that simple. Because as you just said, like maybe they did move the components around in the OLED Switch. I'd kind of be interested in learning that now because I wonder if it is different, and if so, is there like a hardware angle to how OLED screens interact with a body or like with a piece of tech or whatever that we're just not aware of, right?
Maybe we need to see a sort of a broken down Switch and a Switch OLED and compare them, and maybe we can see if we can find any YouTube videos or anything, and we can be the guys to break this. We'll see, are the internals the same? Does it all look the same? Is it just,
Yeah,
is it just a different screen? I mean, it could also be that the Switch OLED screen is just a different, different shaped screen. They must have a partnership with someone. Maybe they're making them custom for the Switch because Nintendo are expecting to sell however many they're expecting of them, but for Valve, it might be too expensive for them to make custom OLED screens as opposed to buying an OLED screen from an already made one. I don't really know the exact how it's even made in the first place. So it's hard for me to speculate on that. Um, but I do think it is a shame that it's not that easy because that's just always been like a dream. The first thing I did when I got my Switch Steam Deck, sorry, is turn it on and go, yeah, I don't like this screen very much because I had just come from playing a lot of games on my OLED.
yeah,
And I
right.
still do. I still jump to the OLED. The other day, I bought a game on Steam, booted it up and started playing it, and was like, "No, this is wrong." And I just refunded it, rebought it on Switch, and I was like, "Yeah, this is better. This just looks better." Um, because it's brighter, and I guess it's also just sometimes it's just more comfortable to play things on the Switch if it's a game that can run on both of them
Sure.
in the same way.
Yeah, if there's like a
Um,
parity between the two versions, it's kind of
exactly.
like
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Which with a lot of games I play, that is the case. But yeah, it's a shame that we are probably gonna have to wait a lot longer for well, sorry, it's half a shame because, it's a little bit of a wait before we can get a device that has sort of a screen as nice as the Switch that we can really, like, see some of these games at their full potential, see them pop. However, it's also, good to hear that they're sort of not really at the moment from the seams of sounds of it, um, gonna be pushing, like, a new version of the Steam Deck anytime soon.
Yeah,
So it's good
every
to know that
update
what we
we've gotten
have is
about it
the
makes it sound like it's something that's further off and that,
exactly. Exactly. They're still updating the current one, and we're obviously uh, enjoying all the benefits of that. And I'm glad that we're going to be able to do that as early adopters for a couple of years, maybe. Because what I don't want to do is sort of end up as the guinea pig, like when the DS came out
right.
or the 3DS came out. But by the time the better one comes out, you're like, oh well, that was sort of like it hasn't been long enough for me to really feel the that it was worth that for me.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it sounds like we're, it doesn't sound like we're at any real risk of that. Just to add a little bit more context here, Plagman also said it's just something you have to plan ahead. When we were working on this screen, we made sure that we made sure these could be supported, even if the refresh rate switching wasn't ready at release. It was really important to us that all that would be supported. Sorry, sometimes it's hard to read a quote that was someone talking. It's like people's speech patterns are different, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
apologies. So it's something that you need to keep in mind when you're evaluating and selecting possible options. But there's nothing about LCD versus OLED, different screen technologies, that makes that a deal breaker. It's about how you're designing the whole system and what's in between the screen and the system on a chip and the SoC system on chip. So yeah, it sounds like for us to get an OLED screen on the Steam Deck, would need to be that would need to be what they were designing it for intentionally. So it sounds like there would need to be potentially a significant amount of change to, the component layout. And,
Yeah.
who knows, right? Like we've seen how that happens with with some of the home consoles and stuff like that, right? Like PlayStation has already changed some of the components of the PS5 to help with availability, to like make there be less crowding inside the chassis and help with things like heating and stuff like that. So certainly not outside the realm of possibility, but it sounds like not a reality for our Gen 1 Steam Decks at least.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
be either like maybe like, if we do get a quote unquote mid-gen hardware refresh where they do put out kind of a more premium version before they're ready to do that again, quote unquote next gen successor. Um maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Cool
And I
that
think I'm
they're at least thinking about it, right? Because they
Oh
hear
yeah,
us.
definitely, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's also good for them to come out and say it so people are I often, see when people go, "Oh, should I get a Switch?" on, like, Reddit or Facebook or whatever, and people go, "Oh, no, I'm holding off for the next gen Switch," and they've been saying that for 3 years now, right? So these are people that
Right.
aren't buying consoles or enjoying the games that are on them because they're like, "Oh, I'll wait for the next one," but when that one comes out, why not just wait for the next one and the next one, yada, yada. So it's good for them to say, "Look, can't do it now with the current Steam Deck, and also, we're not really working on, we're not ready to release anything new. So, like, people can go out and buy them now that they're available. And for me, I was originally before I even got the Steam Deck. Like, yeah, I'll wait for like a second gen because it'll be smaller. It'll be the DS Lite version of it where it's hopefully going to be sort of thinner, smaller, or whatever as they work things out. However, I am glad that I didn't do that, especially with knowing that there's nothing on the horizon. So, yeah.
I've always found that to be kind of funny. I've never been one of those people, right? I've always been an early adopter of consoles. I have a launch version of every console that I've ever owned, I think.
Okay.
And I've gotten refreshes here and there. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see behind me the Spider-Man PS4 Pro. Like, I'm not against an upgrade if it comes to pass. And I think it's worth it. But it's like I just feel like unless you're a bit more casual and you don't mind like not being able to keep up with the new releases or being like, yeah, I'm going to go back and play them later. And, like if you do have that kind of mentality, I mean, good on you, right? Like it's a great way to save money, but I can't imagine being only like 2 or 3 years into a console's life cycle or even 4 or 5 years into a console's life cycle and being like, oh, I'll just wait for the next one, even though it might be 3 years away. It's like, why? Buy it on sale now. Play all those great games that you missed, And
yeah, and that's the thing is that there are. It just if anything, it makes it harder at the end to sort of play through the backlog. That's not really as much of an issue with the Steam Deck because systems cheaper. Not systems, sorry. The games are cheaper, and there's not really like hot exclusives coming out. You can play these games elsewhere, but with the Switch especially, it's like okay, if you wait for the next one to come out, you're still going to have to pay $60 times however many on the games you want because those games are going down in price. So
and then there's going to be new games that you want to play.
exactly, yeah, it's just going to keep growing. Might as well get started now on the current system, and don't pin your hopes on something that you don't know is going to happen yet. Which is kind of what we were doing with the OLED thing. I was like, oh, maybe they'll do it, maybe they'll do it. Not that I'm disappointed with this. It is a bit of a shame to know that like at some point they're not going to go, oh hey, I think so you can buy this OLED screen because I would immediately do that swap. I would rip that shit.
I will say though, as somebody who comes on the show and talks about the Steam Deck every week, I appreciate the transparency because now we won't bring that up again. Now we won't be like, oh, maybe. It's like, no, they said that doesn't make sense. So it's cool to know.
Whole avenue of content gone for us.
Hey, but you're always saying we got can't go back to those same topics again.
Can't go back. Yeah, we have
now
to.
We gotta find a new thing to complain about. Be like, what about the sticks? Can we get new sticks on this thing?
Yeah. No, Steam Controller 2. We'll just keep going with Steam Controller 2.
That's true.
Until it happens. Until they. Okay, here we go. I would like a Steam Controller 2, and I don't know why it's not possible. There's not a Steam Controller 2. Let's see what the PC Gamer article comes out next.
Next week, it's like, yeah. See, so Plagman was actually he did an interview with IGN, and he said, I've seen on a lot of podcasts people talking about the Steam Deck controller too, and here's it is possible, but
he's going to come out with an article saying why I miss people having blue hair, and that's going to be the next big. That's going to be the next big. That's only for video watchers, really, isn't it? That's not for the YouTube.
Yeah, if you're an audio listener, you would never know what my hair was. So,
or what it is now. Don't tell them. It's a mystery.
You have to go watch on YouTube
if you want to know. Yeah. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, all that stuff.
Well, let me just reiterate, Plagman. The offer's on the table. You come on the show anytime. You want to tell me, you just my DMs are open. Hit me up. But speaking of not waiting to pick up the hardware, right, with the Steam Deck, our next story here is about how it's getting its first ever discount, which is very exciting. Just 1 year out, right? Great opportunity for you to save a bit on your Steam Deck. But before we get into that, let me remind you that this episode of the Steam Deck podcast is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of March. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valenz, Earth Visitor, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Sobi, Snackago, Ty the Dude, and Wakahula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all are the real, so the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. If you want to become a Patreon producer just like they did, or, any other ways you want to get involved in the show, you want to write in with a question, a comment, on anything we talk about on this or any other episode of the show, there's a bunch of ways you can get involved. Head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where however you want to get involved with the content, however you want to get involved with the community, you'll find a link to do it over there. However you choose to get involved, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Steam Deck podcast. So, interestingly enough, Valve celebrating a belated birthday for the Steam Deck. because we just a few short weeks ago, right, celebrated its first birthday, which is February 25th. Now here we are, March 16th, as the day of this recording, and Valve makes a post about it, and they say, "Happy birthday, Steam Deck, in celebration of a successful first year of many more to come." Like that. I like that nod. Steam Deck is 10% off from now until the end of the Steam Spring Sale, on March 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific. So if you're listening as of right now, you've got about a week, a little less than a week by the time this goes live, for you to go and pick up your Steam Deck at a pretty decent discount for, a relatively new piece of hardware that's never been on sale.
Yeah, I think now they're more readily available. I guess now's the time to start putting on sale, right? Um, it's get these in people's hands. People want them now, or people can get them now. It's just now they can start using them to push game sales, and it's probably a good idea that when they do a sale on software to also do a sale on hardware, and just really like people are on Steam, people are looking at things, people are just like, okay, what's interesting? It's in people's wish lists. They're going to get reminded that not only can you buy it, it's also available to buy now, and it's a cheaper price. I think it's how okay is it how much of a sale is it before I because you told me not to look at
So
something.
so it's a 10% sale. So I've had Max not look for another reason that we'll get to in a second here. But yeah, we're looking at a 10% discount, which is pretty significant, for the different models. I've got it pulled up right now for the YouTube kids. So for the 64 gigabyte version, that means it's down to $359.10. The middle version, which is our recommended version that you pick up, that one is sitting at $476.10, and then the most expensive version down to $584.10, which is great. I mean, we've talked a lot about why we don't think the most expensive version is necessarily worth it, especially if you're going to put on a screen protector. The big value of that is the screen. But even with that, like if you decided that you wanted to go and splurge for the most expensive model, it's only $60 more, or no, it's like actually a little bit less than that. Around there, around $60 more than you'd spend on the middle model, which is definitely I think the way to go in almost any other scenario. So like with that, pretty good deal.
I think so too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the middle one's obviously the best way to go. I don't know if I've ever officially stated it like you guys have, but yeah, like it's the sort of the best choice. You get the faster speeds, and you can upgrade everything else. Quite
Yeah.
easily. So it's good. Yeah. What about the sales in the game sale? Have you looked at this yet? Because I've just
I
been looking
have.
through.
So I asked you not to because I want to play a little game here. So on this
Okay.
same page, for the Happy Birthday Steam Deck, the actual link, it's like sale deck top 100, right?
Okay.
And what they have here is a list of the top 100 games played on Steam Deck. It says, "It's incredible to see the breadth of games you all have been playing on Steam Deck. From a wide variety of genres to new releases, old favorites, indies, and AAA titles, they've all found a home on Steam Deck. Here are the top 100 games of the past year by peak player count."
Okay. And you want top 5 from me?
I want to see if you can come up with the top five, even top 10,
All right.
Start throwing them out.
Okay.
And I'm not going to show them to the folks on YouTube yet because I don't want a spoiler. I want you guys at home to be able to guess, play along with yourself and see how you do against Max.
Play with yourself. Vampire Survivors is number 1.
Okay, you want to guess the order?
No. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
Where it is.
I'll take a list of your
Go on.
I think that's a good guess, right? We
Okay,
know that's
Vampire
one
Survivors.
that's been near the top, one in the top 20 count almost
Yeah.
every week.
Elden Ring.
Okay.
This is where things get tough.
This is where it gets dicey after my first two guesses.
Yeah. Yeah. Games that are popular on. I guess no, you can't play any multiplayer games on it really because of the. I don't know if it's got the. Can you play like?
You can play
Counter-Strike on
multiplayer
it?
games. It
No, you can
depends on
play-
the game because if it has anti-cheat
Yeah.
support, it works. But like certain, like we talked about this, I think last week or whenever the last show you missed, I think we talked about Destiny and the anti-cheat stuff that like the anti-cheat program they use is supported by Linux, but they haven't enabled it, and that's why Destiny 2 doesn't work. So there are certain games like that won't work, but like I remember people were playing like Halo Infinite on deck. I believe that's actually somewhere on the list here.
Halo Infinite. Is VAC supported? The Valve anti-cheat? Do we know? Because if so, I say Counter Strike 2.
I believe.
No, sorry, Counter Strike Global Offensive. Counter Strike Go. Yeah, whatever the.
I'll
one is.
I'll put Counter Strike and we'll give it to you either way.
All right. Okay. Portal.
Okay.
2.
I'm gonna also give you a Halo Infinite not in the top 10, so don't put that on your list.
All right. Okay.
It is on the list. I just confirmed, but.
Okay. God, I'm really trying to think of games that have been really popular sort of recently, other than Vampire Survivors, and I can't think of a single one.
All right, so far you've got Vampire Survivors, Elden Ring, Counter Strike, Portal 2. Try to think of
indie games. I'm gonna go for something like, what's the one? The where you're a Cult of the Lamb.
Okay, that's a good guess.
Valley.
Stardew Valley. That's a good guess.
Yeah. Spider-Man.
Okay.
And there's also Chuck God of War in there as well, for good measure.
Okay.
How many have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I get, say, 2 more guesses, and we'll see how many are in the top 10.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. So you got 2 more guesses, and we'll see. And I'll give you a last chance if you want to go over your list. If you want to, make any last minute adjustments before you submit, that's fine.
Okay.
One clue I'll give you.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to give me a clue.
I'll give you a clue. I think this will be helpful, right? In the description, it says old favorites, right? So you did guess 2 old favorites with Portal and Counter-Strike, but I would think in the same way that you guessed Spider-Man, think about other games that either that came to Steam or that got big updates that made them work on Steam Deck where they got some attention. We have talked about a couple of them on the show.
Old favorites. Okay, I'm gonna no. Old favorites.
There's like there's a rock block here of a couple games that I think if you don't guess really any of them,
ones.
I can understand if you're not thinking of them, but I think once I say them, you're gonna be like, fuck yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, I've already been feeling that as soon as I started guessing, I was like, I feel like an idiot at the end of this. All right, okay, I'm gonna go The Witcher 3.
Okay, and then you got one more.
I'm trying to think of some games that went from like not. You know what? Let me grab my Steam Deck. 1 second.
Wait, he's grabbing his Steam Deck, people.
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I don't know what he's doing. I think
I want to look at my own games.
This feels like cheating a little bit, but I'm gonna give it to him.
I'm looking at my own games to see what's okay. Scroll. Yeah, no. Scroll. Cuphead. Scroll. Oh, that's my last one, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. You want to put that on there?
I'm gonna put Cuphead on there. I'm gonna remove Cult of the Lamb.
Okay.
Scroll.
You're removing it. You don't even have a thing to replace it with. I thought you had another one, and you're just like, no, I just want to cut that.
No. Okay, I'm gonna cut it, and I'm gonna replace it with scroll. I've got one in my head. Scroll. This isn't good content. Scroll.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Horizon, the first one.
Horizon Zero Dawn. Okay.
Zero Dawn. Thank you.
All right. So your final list: Vampire Survivors, Elden Ring, Counter Strike, Portal 2, Stardew Valley, Spider-Man, God of War, The Witcher 3, Cuphead, and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Fuck, I bet fucking Valheim's on there as well, isn't it?
Well, it's too late now.
Go on.
Too late now. So,
how many?
To give you the actual list, I'm gonna tell you what, you're gonna kick yourself about one of these.
Okay.
All right, but here's the list as it stands. Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, okay.
Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, good boy.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Lovely.
Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So so far good, right?
Not doing too bad, right?
3 on the board, already pretty good. Here's where it starts to turn for you.
Okay.
Hades.
Oh, shit. Oh, God.
Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess I forgot that came out on PC, so yeah, that's yeah.
Which is funny because I know it's one we've talked about because I've been playing it for the game club on Steam Deck.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were playing it on PlayStation.
Uh,
Oh, how I'm
Cyber
upset about Hades.
Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk. Yeah,
2077.
yeah, of
Yep,
course.
that was what I thought you would kick yourself for. Red Dead
Yeah.
Redemption 2.
Yeah, I'm not that upset by it. I
That
would
one
enjoy
got like
that.
a big patch that made it work, so I
Did
didn't.
it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna install it then. All right.
Your last one on the board here, Spider-Man
Hey.
remastered. You
Oh,
did
the
good with
last.
that.
That's as in like that's the lot. Okay.
That's the last point you get, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
this is
yeah.
the one where you're gonna kick yourself. The last one in the number 10, Cult of the Lamb.
No.
When you pulled it and you didn't, when you cut it, I was like, all right, maybe he'll guess one of these other games. And then you cut it
Oh.
and said Horizon. And I was like, oh no.
I just had a good feeling about Cult of the Lamb, and then damn. Right, I'm clicking on the link now because I wanna.
And
I wanna
you
see.
know, you did good. I think every other game you guessed is on the list except for I don't think CS:GO is on it actually.
Okay. No, yeah, I don't
Going
think
through the
so.
whole list, I don't see it. But every other game you
Interesting.
guessed is on the list.
Interesting that Aperture Desktop is on there. Doesn't that come with the deck? Isn't that installed already?
It
It's free. Why is it
is.
in a sale? Oh, Elden Ring's not on sale either.
Almost all of them are though. Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's only a handful of games on the list that aren't on sale.
Yeah, they're all in there. I can see. I'm seeing them. Can't believe I did. I'm actually most upset about not getting Hades because it's like one of the first games I thought about because obviously I'm a big Hades fan. But I thought, is it just me though? Incredibly popular game. Who am I? Yeah, that was a fun game, but I do hate myself more after playing it. So,
I mean, that's kind
just
of
like any game, just like
yeah,
playing
right.
any
Like
game.
unless
Me
you
after any
win.
game of Marvel Snap, like just why did I even think I could play this game and enjoy it?
Well, you know what, Max? I'm gonna you did okay, right? One, two, three, four, right? Four, yeah,
Yeah, 4, yeah.
4 out of 10.
I can't believe Stardew Valley's not. Oh, it is. It is.
It's on the list, just it wasn't in the top 10.
Yeah, 11, 12, 13, 14 on the list.
Yeah, a
Oh
lot of
well.
big games that had big updates that I think took some of the oxygen out of it. I think that's the
Yeah.
crazy thing though, is like Stardew Valley is one of those games where it's like, damn, it's like a new it's like Grand Theft Auto where it's like a new person's born every year that like comes into the market for it, and it's like, oh Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just always desperate to go back to it on the Switch. I load up my old save file, I get really nostalgic, and I'm like, I don't want to I don't want to lose this feeling and start again. I don't want to start a new life, you know.
Yeah.
Never had any kids, never had a wife, but I did have millions and millions in ancient fruit wine. Millions. Nobody to share it with. Shame. Shame.
Well, we're gonna keep the I hope I didn't crush your spirit too much, Max. I think you
Oh,
did.
my spirit's flat, mate. Don't worry
I
about
think
that.
I think you did well, all things considered. But hopefully this one will give you a little perk back up. Uh, Official Steam Deck startup movies are live. They're available to you right now. So this came at least to our attention over on Twitter when again bringing them up and again open invitation to come on the show anytime you want. One Lawrence Yang over on Twitter said these new Steam Deck startup movies are all so good. Check them out. Headphones on. Smiley face. And then if you go and check out the actual link over on the Steam store, you can check out all the stuff they have available. There are not a ton to start, but it's like a decent number. There's like 21, I think it looks like. Some of them are really good. I gotta say, and I really like the format of how they're shown, so that you can kind of like just watch it happen,
Hmm.
on your screen, and
I'm already getting Turret Factory. I can already tell you that. I'm quite impressed. There's so many and sort of happening. I really thought it'd be like a couple, but there's like a big, nice variety here. It's not something I've ever really been that bothered by. Like when people were going mad for it on Reddit and like, oh, I've just made this startup movie. I was like, well, who cares? How often do you see it? And then I remembered that I am constantly coming in and out of desktop mode for emulation and stuff like that to try and
yeah.
get my ROMs in and stuff. And I think it's a nice option. And I think we can probably comfortably say this was a big Steve. get, right? Steve called this. He found the um found the thing in the update that referenced the point shop or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and he sort of then assumed it was going to be related to this, and he was on the money. The man doesn't miss.
Whoa, my God. I clicked on one of them and it started making noise. I'm sorry.
I clicked on Turret Factory and through my head it started going ring ring ring.
Sorry about that, everybody. But
I thought
yeah.
you were woeing my one because I clicked on it, it started making noise, and you went whoa whoa, and I was like, is he listening in?
Yeah, there's a
It's a
couple of
good
these I really
camera.
like.
Big Picture's really good because it just is. That's like I used to use Big Picture a lot. Back when I used to just like have a laptop plugged into a TV, and I still use it now, and I'm on the big TV here, and I'll just press the button. So that's like a noise that really just takes me back to that. But I think Turret Factory is the one for me.
Yeah, I do really like that they have like the OG big picture. Like retro startup screens are always cool. Like I had the legacy theme on my PS4 Pro for a while, where it would
Yeah.
do the PlayStation 2 the
Yeah. Do you think this opens the door for more customization, or do you think it's just going to be startup screens? Do you think we're going to start getting themes and stuff soon, or
I
what
think
do you think?
probably, like I think considering that all that it took for this to become an official thing was that like people started hacking it in and they were like, oh, that's cool. Let's make that a thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they found more cool things like that. And like not for nothing, I've always thought that Steam points felt a little lame.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. They've done nothing for me other than give me a fun background on my Steam profile that I never visit and nobody ever does.
right.
So yeah, I feel like I've just like been a very very rich man in Steam points with nothing to spend them on.
Yeah,
It's like
like,
it's like having like like when who's the duck? Who's the duck? Who's the rich duck?
oh, Scrooge.
Well, yeah, when Scrooge McDuck dives into like all of his gold and swims around, it's like if you did that in chocolate coins. Like it's not really worth anything. You've just
Right.
got a load of chocolate coins. It just felt like I had loads of chocolate coins I couldn't spend, and if I ate them all, I'd be very sick. Whereas now I don't have to eat them. I can trade them for fun things.
And that was always my frustration with them. It's like, oh yeah, you can buy like all these stuff for your profile that no one will ever go on, or an
Mhm.
icon when you can make literally any picture on Steam your icon. It's like,
Yeah,
why would I pay for any of this? It's
yeah.
like, or not pay for it, but you know what I mean. Like, what's the point? So I've been hoarding points for forever. I have like 50,000 from when I bought my Steam Deck or whatever,
Yeah,
and it's like. It's nice to finally have something that feels like worth investing in it. And
I agree.
I hope you're right. Like I do hope that there are other, uses for it coming. I would love to see like, custom themes and stuff like that start to roll in and, just like maybe other, like maybe you could, add unique startup sounds and like all those kinds of things and like give you just a bunch of like little things like that to play with and really feel like you're customizing your experience or whatever.
Yep. I just bought two of them, and I still have 87,000. So hopefully they release more stuff like this, so I can sort of start spending through them, and then yeah, I'll be like desperate for points again. I'm like, where's anyone got one of those Steam points? Anyone want to give me some Steam points? I really need to get this new startup movie.
I need a hit.
Um,
Need a hit.
yeah, I really need that hit. Yeah, I'm hoping we do get themes and customization and stuff. Just stuff that is already available in the plugins through Decky that doesn't break every time the Steam Deck updates, or doesn't break every time you reboot it or something. It doesn't require like you to have to toggle things around, and something in the stock experience. We've been saying a lot. I think is Steam seems very open to taking these ideas and going, yeah, cool, these are great ideas. We'll add them in. And I don't think the developers of these projects would be too upset by that because they made that to be a part of Steam, right? It's not
Right.
them making any real money on it or anything. That's not they've stolen their IP and they're making loads of money and these people aren't being compensated or anything like that. It's just like they had an idea. They're like, the Steam Deck would be great if it could do this, so I'm going to make it do this. And Steam have gone, you're right, I'll do that for you and make it official and make it work, and everyone could benefit from it. So
And it would be a cool thing to see maybe like some third parties like have actual support for some of those services in the way that like a really cool thing on the PS4 with Persona 5 was as you unlocked certain trophies, you would get an email from PlayStation with a code for a background. So there was
okay,
like one
cool.
for each of the main Phantom Thieves, and then there was one you'd get when you platinumed the game. And I always like thought that was just like a really cool idea, of like rewarding you for playing the game, right? And like the idea of like maybe rewarding you for playing it specifically on Steam Deck and getting, or on Steam in general, I guess, right? Because, eventually that boot up screen is something it seems like they're going to want to push in more and more directions as Steam OS is available on more devices.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it would be cool. It would be cool to see some stuff like that. Like, it would be neat if you could get like an official, like, a version of it that was, the first thing that came to mind for me was like something that's like, connected to a specific character or, something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, my Steam profile is all Near Automata themed because I happened to I think it was because I'd sort of I can't remember, you could buy the Near Automata thing, but I don't know if it was like you had to own the game to do it, or if you could just buy it outright. But yeah, I've sort of made my profile Near Automata theme because it's a game I really enjoyed and I had the option to get it, and that's the sort of the only thing I probably spent um, my points on in the past. So it would be fun to see. And I think there are things that developers could add, like um, icons and things like that. And it's something I don't think has really shown up as much. Um, maybe it's just I've not paid attention to it anymore because I don't really use Steam as anything more than just booting up games apart from on the deck where I might get more involved a little bit. But
Sure.
um, yeah, it would be good to see just more stuff. Things that make it feel more like a console than like a way to play your PC games. Not that I want to take away from what the Steam Deck is, but yeah, to be
It's
able to
both
sort
though,
of
right? Because
oh,
it
it is both.
definitely
Yeah,
is a console. Like one of the things we talked about last week was that like there was some conversation around how uh I forget which of the two of them it was, but it was one of our boys. And I want to say it was Plagman. And I think they were talking about how the cool thing about Steam Deck, right, is that like optimizing your game for Steam Deck is easier because it is a consistent platform and every Steam Deck is the same, but also that if you do have a really high performing game and you go through the trouble of making it run on Steam Deck, you've also like widened the number of like lower end PCs that can like reliably run your game, and you've opened up
yeah.
your market a little bit bigger.
Hmm.
So like, you know, I think it is it's a niche thing, but like there is I think a good incentive to have that extra effort to support Steam Deck, and to like um get in on that floor with the people who are there hungry for those cool features, and I think like the more that they can give it that kind of console identity, and whether that's just through Valve's efforts or it is from getting more third parties to buy in, like you said, I think that's just good for like the culture around Steam Deck, and
Yes.
that's one of the biggest things I think it has going for it,
Yeah, I'm very likely to give a game a go if it or I'm more likely to buy a game on the Steam Deck if I know it's supported versus where I go, or I'll go on ProtonDB and go, all right, okay, it takes some working around, but like if that game is on Switch and I know it works on Switch, I might just get it there, or I'll just play it on PC instead somewhere else. But yeah, to know that it's on Steam and it is supported and all that stuff, it makes you go, all right, yeah, cool, I'll buy it there, and yeah, and yeah, like you say, it's good for it to be able to be played on lower end machines as well, which is a vast majority of long tail theory. Most of the PCs are going to be worse than you know more of the PCs are going to be bad when compared to the small amount of large PCs, if that makes sense. I don't want to get into long tail theory now. This is
I don't want to get into it. I definitely understand it and could explain it, but not right
nah. Let's save it for when Steve's back so we can bore him with it.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good, like a plan. Yeah, so definitely a cool thing to see. Something that they've been talking about for a while, so definitely need to see them finally get it out the door.
Mm-hmm.
So, to wrap things up today, we're going to talk about how the Steam Deck is finally going to be coming to stores, which is something that, again, right, we got news about this from, or not even news, I guess, but commentary from Yang and Plagman about how like this was a goal, right? Eventually, they want to start rolling it out into stores. They want to get it into more people's hands. They want to make it a device that you could just pick up on a whim, right? Like at a Best Buy or something like that. But it's not going to be starting over here, right? Like the first rollout of the Steam Deck in stores is going to actually be happening in Asia. So Acer gaming stores in Taiwan, Predator Pro Shop stores in Hong Kong, and then future plans from Komodo to expand into South Korea and Japan in the
You mean
future.
Komodo?
Is it Komodo?
Like the dragon?
Oh, right. Sure. I'm reading it. I'm like, no. Komodo. That's how you get it. Like, that sounds techier, you know?
Yeah, Komodo, yeah. I remember when a guy came who I hadn't seen in a while. I was like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" I was like, "Oh, I work for Asus," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he meant like Asus, and I was like, "It is,
Sure.
but it is Asus. Like that's how it's supposed to be pronounced."
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like in
That's funny.
it's like if you go to in the UK we say Nike, not Nike. It's just always been Nike, you know. But if you go into a Nike shop and you speak to them and you say, "Where do you work?" They have to say Nike. They're told you have to say Nike because that
Yeah,
is the
that's how you
brand.
say it.
But everyone in the UK says Nike.
That's
Nobody says
so
Nike.
funny.
Nobody.
That's so. Oh my god! All right, it's incredible. After all these years being friends with Brits, I'm still learning things about your wacky country.
Have I never said Nike on the show before?
I don't think
probably
you
just haven't
have.
understood
And
what I'm
we've talked
saying.
about sneakers before. I don't think I've ever heard you say Nike before. I definitely think I would have reacted to it.
Yeah, I think you'd have gone, "What is that? What even is
Like, what do you mean?
that?"
Nike Air Jordans.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Nike Air Max, that's what we say.
Oh my gosh. All right, fair enough. So we do have some quotes from some of the folks involved. This one comes from Ricky Uy, who's the CEO of Komodo, who said, "We are excited to work with Acer Gaming to continue toward our goal of delivering Steam Deck to the widest range of customers." And then we got another quote from Ting Yang Su, who is the general manager of Acer Gaming, who said, "Acer Gaming cooperates with popular game industry brands to create a complete gaming life experience from offline to online. Through this collaboration with Komodo, we are demonstrating the importance Acer Gaming places on the gaming market."
God, as someone who has written
Word
and
salad.
released and received a lot of press releases in my time, that is some of the most press release stuff I've ever heard in my life.
Seriously. The
Right?
our goal, the
We're excited to continue delivering a Steam Deck to the widest range of customers. You could literally take out the proper nouns from that, replace them with other proper nouns, and it would be exactly the same quote as every other quote. I've asked for quotes from people and have received exactly that same thing.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just like, yeah, whatever, like it doesn't matter. Everyone's gonna quote it anyway. That's the my first get is from any of that is
No,
it
it's
doesn't
funny
mean
though. It is.
anything, like,
I think the second one is even funnier to me. But I'm assuming it's also translated, so that's probably why it sounds as stilted as it
that is
does.
a good point.
But
That
the
is
whole
a good
like
point.
cooperates with popular gaming brands to create a complete gaming life experience from offline to online. It's just such a like. That's such a like. It's just funny, you know. Like I'm not even like trying to make fun of them. It's just such a like. That's such press speak, you know. Press
Oh, yeah.
release speak
Yeah,
of like,
It's
oh
when you say,
yeah,
"Oh,"
like.
if I said to you, "Tell me about the Steam Deck sorry, tell me about how you actually like the Steam Deck," you wouldn't go, "Oh, well, the Steam Deck podcast is a podcast about the Steam Deck that you release on," like, you wouldn't talk about you're talking about specifically about
Right.
this new collaboration, not just, "Oh, by the way, this is what we do." Is Acer Gaming the same Acer as in Acer the computer Acer? Is it the same
I
Acer?
think it's a sub brand.
Right, okay. It's just, sort of like they have like a store.
But it's also very funny to me because it's like they
I
say
like that you
like
just highlighted different parts of the
so we can
same
Google it.
words
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, it's like we are demonstrating the importance Acer Gaming places on the gaming market. It's like, well, yeah, like you're Acer Gaming. Why wouldn't you think gaming
Yeah,
market?
yeah.
Yeah,
Acer
so it
Gaming
does look like
taking the Predator.
it's a sub brand. I think.
Yeah. That's cool they've got physical shops. Is it a physical shop actually? Are we saying physical shops or is this
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
oh, Acer
Because
Gaming stores? Yeah.
it's they have Acer retail stores.
Mhm.
Is what they're called, and I'm not sure if they are. Yeah, you know what? It looks like we do have them in the States. Oh no, maybe not. That's interesting.
I mean, I guess in sort of a lot of Asian countries, particularly like Hong Kong and that, they just have huge tech stores where you can just go in and buy things, right? You can buy anything in these tech stores.
Yeah,
Maybe it's that's just a different culture for them. Maybe
I'm taking a
for
look
buying.
at a picture of one, and yeah, they look They look pretty crazy. It's like I mean, it looks like an Apple store,
Nice.
just
I'd
for
love to go there.
PCs.
I would love to go to the Acer Gaming shop.
One of these days.
One of these days, we'll go to the Acer Gaming shop. We'll get a photo. Hey guys, subscribe to Patreon if you want us to go to the Acer Gaming
send us to somewhere in Asia. We'll wait a couple years until they have it in
oh yeah, good point.
In Japan. But yeah, I mean, this is really cool news, right? Like Steam had announced a partnership with Acer Gaming and Komodo to start releasing the Steam Deck in Asia, and like you were able to start getting it online and everything already. So it's definitely it feels like an evolution of what we've already seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was very surprised that like the press release came out, and it's like it says, and it came out today, right? This is breaking news, and in the first line of it, it says Acer and Komodo, the international games company and license provider of Steam Deck in Japan, Hong Kong, South Korea, and Taiwan, have announced that the Steam Deck and Steam Deck docking station will be available at Acer retail stores in Hong Kong and Taiwan beginning on the 17th. That's tomorrow.
Oh, they're literally just dropping them there and then.
It's
That's
crazy.
impressive.
And like, who knows? Maybe they've been doing local press about that, right? And like, we're hearing about it for the first time because like, who cares, right? Like, we're not. Nobody in the West is gonna go travel to Asia to buy one in a store.
Yeah.
So it's like it's news, but it's not like news you needed to prep for if you're not in the East, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I did think it was interesting. They do have a list too of some of the places like where you can go. You can still get it on the Komodo website if you want. And they actually do have the 10% deck discount going on right now as well. So yeah, even
good time to just go out, and that's good for impulse buying, isn't it? Because the biggest issue with the Steam Deck is for us specifically was to buy it and then wait like months to or pre-order it, wait months to be able to get it. Whereas to be able to just like walk out, grab one, and walk back with no delays or anything like that.
Pretty cool. I don't know if the sale will be available in the actual physical stores, but it is available on the Steam Deck Komodo website. So
okay.
So that there is that option for folks in any of the countries that support that shop, which I think is a few because I know that they're based in Japan, but I think they ship to those other countries as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there are 2 locations in Hong Kong and 6 locations in Taiwan.
Okay,
where you'll be able to get hands on it.
Hey, that's a good start. I mean, maybe it's something we'll start to see. Was it already in Asia? Could you buy it on Steam naturally, or is this like their launch?
The only way you could buy it in Asia was through the Komodo website. You couldn't buy it through Steam. But
it seems like this is like they didn't have the infrastructure to release just by themselves, maybe in Asia, and now they've partnered with these people to have
that was where the initial partnership with Komodo and Acer came from, was that like essentially that came out around the time of the Tokyo Game Show when they had a big presence there and they like had a bunch of units for people to play. They built that giant Steam Deck that they had on the show floor. They made like a really big show there because something that Steve and I have talked about on the show in the past is that the PC market has started to kind of emerge in Japan specifically, but in Asia to a degree. In certain countries, it's definitely more popular than others. Like I know in China, PC gaming is like a really big deal. But in Japan, right, there's been a lot of conversation about how like handheld gaming's always been more dominant. Folks, don't spend as much time at home in front of a television, that kind of thing. Or at least historically, that was the case. But during the pandemic, and there was like just less ability to engage with normal life, and there was a shortage of PS5s, a lot of Japanese gamers got into PC at that time and got into the Steam marketplace. So I think that's probably a big part of their motivation, right? Is that like they don't have a foothold in that region and that PC gaming has not really been a thing there in the way that it is in the West. And I think that this, pushing the Steam Deck, I think is a part of a broader strategy from Valve of like, we want to get a foothold in Asia and we want to establish PC gaming as a legitimate alternative.
Yeah.
And of course, the Steam Deck let alone if you can go buy it in a store, right? I think is like a real good Trojan horse to get people into PC gaming in a region where folks are already trained to play handhelds. And that's already a way that people want to engage with games, is having that ability to play on the go, right? So the idea of like, yeah, maybe you did build a gaming PC, right? And you have one already. But even if you don't, like it fits really well into your lifestyle already if you're somebody who primarily is playing games on Switch or, whatever, right?
Yes, I think like you say, they're big handheld, and the Switch has been huge over there. So why wouldn't they want to sort of push the Steam Deck over there? And then, hey, PC gaming, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen again. Let's give up with console nonsense. Get rid of this PS5 nonsense. We don't need it.
Whoa. All right, come on now.
I would also like to keep my PS5. So let's not.
Platform agnosticism, guys. That's the way to go. All right, we don't need to get into all this PC master race stuff. Okay, however, wherever you want to play video games is cool.
I just tried, just on a slightly related note, I just tried to reboot my Steam Deck to see my new
boot screen
opening boot screen, and it crashed twice on reboot. It finally worked, and then I noticed that this side of my Steam Deck was open, and I've never opened it. So who knows what's going on in my life right now?
What are you doing to this thing?
Oh, I don't know.
Throwing it around.
It sits in its case.
So yeah, I think this is exciting news. I think it's good news for Valve and good news for PC gaming, and those who are interested in it over in Japan and beyond. But also, I think I'm excited to see where this goes from here, and if this is a thing that they deem worth doing in other regions.
I think that purely, I'm leaning towards maybe not just now, or not just now, not yet, because they didn't have the other options in Asia, and they really need to try and capture that market, so they need to put it into those stores. But they have such a good infrastructure, and it's they have complete control over it in the West. With the Steam store, that maybe it might take a little while to get over here.
And the brand recognition is so strong, right? Like when you think PC gaming, you think Valve, you think Steam.
Yeah. I mean, in the UK, we only really have, like, in terms of PC gaming, we only really have, like, PC World, and they barely, do it PC gaming in a way, right? So, especially in the UK, it might be harder to. I guess we could also just put it in normal game stores, but I don't see, for example, supermarkets stocking the Steam Deck and having much fun with it when they've just got rid of all of their Switch.
I'm thinking
stuff like that.
I'm thinking it would be in more like big box stores, and like I could.
What is a big box store?
So like in the States, that would be like Walmart or like Target or like a Best Buy.
I mean, they sound like Tesco's and Asda, and they are like supermarkets for us. We have, so Walmart is Asda. So these all sound like big supermarkets, but we have Walmart superstores.
They're interesting in the States because there are locations that are like more like you said, like superstores that will have groceries, but not all of them do. Like the like a Target is a great example where like there will be a lot of like we call them city Targets where like in like the Target that's closest to me here doesn't have produce. And it is like it's well, I guess they have some food though, but they don't have like fresh food. Like they don't have like a butcher or anything. They have some frozen food and stuff like that, and like you get snacks there, but it's not like a grocery store.
I'm thinking of some shops in the UK for my UK boys and girls. B&M Bargains, you know what that one is. The Range. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm getting at. If anyone knows of both what Pete's talking about and I'm talking about, let me know if I'm on the right page in the comments, because I would like to know.
But like Best Buy is maybe a better example because that's just tech, right? That's what they sell. They sell technology. They are one of the few stores that like still carries Amiibo in store, stuff like that. So like they sell game stuff. They sell computer stuff. I could see a Best Buy selling a Steam Deck. I could see a Steam Deck at my local Walmart in the tech section. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Like
we will see.
I could see there not being as much need for it here, but it's also like some people just want to buy things in stores. It's like
Yeah.
Like you said, an impulse purchase doesn't happen that same way, like you're more likely to be like at a store and be like, oh shoot, the Steam Deck's here. I've heard about that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Oh, and it's 10% off?
let me grab
Oh,
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we'll see. It's definitely interesting. And I think the specifically the Asia angle of it though, I think is so interesting to me. And this is one of those stories that I think like right now it's like not, it's developing, but 5-10 years from now, we might look back and be like, damn, like that, what a monumental shift that led to in the industry because Valve invested that time to try and, insert themselves in that market, right? Like we've seen Xbox making that effort too, right? And it's like more and more Western developers, publishers, hardware, are like, how do we break into Asian markets that don't pay attention to us, And I think the Steam Deck has a really, really powerful value prop for a lot of those folks,
It's almost like a flip side of when a lot of Japanese game developers were like, "How do we get into the West?" There
When
were
there
these
was
fans
that
over
kind of
here
like
that would
wane in
import.
relevance for,
Yeah, yeah, people would import all these games, and like you couldn't get games in the West like Yakuza and stuff like that when it was like a Dragon, and it was all only really in the in Japan, or like all of these games that you had to import in that are now just you can buy these day and date in the UK, or or it would be like Xenoblade Chronicles where people campaign for it and it comes out years later. Like
sure.
now you can just get these games day and date, and I think that we're gonna maybe we'll see the opposite of that, and we'll start seeing um, things like the Steam Deck and stuff like that releasing in Japan and Asia at the start instead of a year later. So yeah,
Yeah, that would be nice. I think the more that we can make releases and like moments like that like global is because like I think about that all the time. Like when we were kids, I remember an entire pocket industry of like these fan magazines that I would read that would be like, oh, Pokemon came out already in Japan, here's screenshots of it, and here's and it's like, oh, like there's that you were like waiting like, oh, it's 6 months, it's 8 months, and you were like hungry for any scrap of information, and now it's like they come out worldwide, and it's like everybody gets to enjoy it at the same time. And especially in the internet age, I feel like that's so much more important because like you don't want to see everything, because Japan got it earlier, because America got it earlier, and then it's got to get translated, and it's like the more we can do that, I think the better it'll be, for just everybody to have more access to more games.
Do you remember when Pokemon, like I guess around the like Diamond and Pearl and stuff like that, it was like, oh, the new Coro's out. They're going to reveal a new Pokemon in there, and it's only in Japanese, and you're just waiting for the Japanese information.
Yep.
And now that's all done in
On
direct
Twitter,
and it's all done at the same time. Around everything is the same now. Instead of having to sort of like, oh, it's only happening in Japan, or like they tailor these streams to happen during UK stuff.
Dude. Yeah, I remember. I had a Coro magazine that had a picture of Quilava in it from Gen 2. And I remember like ripping that page out and framing it and like putting it on my wall. And I was like, oh, I can't wait. Like, I can't wait.
I used to wait for the Coro to come out with like a new Pokemon like Manaphy. Do you remember Manaphy?
Of course.
And then I would go and like, what would a Manaphy sprite look like? And I would do the sort of pixel art of the character. And like looking back on it now, it was all trash. But at the time, I was just so excited to see these characters for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely cool news, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, I think Steam's got a hell of a chance here to just expose like a whole huge region of people to like new ways to play, which is so exciting, So yeah, I hope you're as interested in it as we are, because it's definitely a story I'd like to keep reporting on. So if you want to write in with your thoughts on this or any of the other stuff we talked about today, remember, questions@flipscreen.games. That's our email address. Come join the Discord, where we've got a channel specifically for the Steam Deck podcast where you can keep the conversation moving between episodes. And of course, if you want to find links to all those things, if you want to become a Patreon supporter or a producer, get your name right on the air, get the show early, all kinds of cool perks and goodies, you can find links to all of that and more over at flipscreen.games. That's our website. However you choose to get involved, that is the best way for you to find the link for it. And we appreciate you. However you want to support the show, get involved with the community. We thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Steam Deck podcast. Before we go, Max has raised his hand. What do you got for me, buddy?
I would like people to help me out in the comments, and I have £15. I don't know what that is in dollars to spend. I have it in Steam credit. I don't know what to spend it on. We've got till the 23rd for the sale. Tell me what I should buy and what I should play.
It's $18.
18 US dollars. There we go. I like Metroid. I like Dark Souls. And yeah, that's all you need to know about me. So
I gotta say, I feel like you brought this up a little late. I think we could have brought it up earlier. I wonder if anyone has heard your plea.
have just looked up in the top right hand corner of Steam and seen that number up there that I forgot I refunded that game that I mentioned earlier. That I got it in Steam credit. So yeah, sorry about that, everyone.
Don't apologize. I hope they heard you. I hope they come to you with these suggestions.
True.
If
Open the
not,
episode with it, Pete. Open the episode with it.
we'll do it next week. That's
All right,
fine.
fine.
You'll still have a couple days to
The
ask.
sale will be okay. Fine.
Oh wait, will you? Ooh, you might be right.
23rd.
No, it'll be over by then.
Oh well.
Okay.
Oh, well.
All right. Well, we'll do
For
our
the
best.
dedicated fans.
Here's what I'm gonna say to you, Max. You talked about picking up Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, I own it.
Oh damn! I was gonna say it's $19 right now.
No, I got it a while ago.
Okay.
Like years ago. Just never played it.
All right. Okay. Well,
Classic.
you do what you can then.
Yeah.
But you got some good stuff. That's a lot of money. You got some room to wiggle there.
I think so.
Anyway, all right. Thanks for joining us. I forget if I said all the other things, but I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah. Okay, cool. Anyway, for the crew, I've been Pete. He's been Max. We'll see you next week, gamers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.